Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast that we bring you each and every day on the Dynamo Podcast Network. And just to mention some of our sponsors tonight, Ella's Toys and Collectibles. Head over there if you're a fan of Funko Pops or collectible toys. You can avail of 10% off by letting them know that you're a subscriber and a viewer of the Upper Tier Podcast on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Also, Hogan Elite Trophy Hire. If you have that special event and you need a hookup for silverware, head over to Hogan Elite Trophy Hire on Facebook, and Mark will look after you there for any of your needs for your events. Also, don't forget to check out Conversations with Cornelius up on Spotify there, on all those other areas where you pick up your podcasts. Just dropped a new episode today discussing his journey as an Everton fan as a kid and stuff like that. So get over there and subscribe and support Irish podcasting. So tonight, this is our Monday mashup, boys, and plenty to talk about. We're going to do a quick review of the Premiership, have a look at European football coming up, and then we got some really good hot topics to discuss with the panel. So let's start. Where do we start? Graham, you're not getting off again. The Champagne Lane, Fairy Liquid FC. You were blowing bubbles walking off that pitch. What's going on? Talk to me.
It's fucking awful stuff. It's like the way we were fucking 2 years ago with Pochettino with the manager. It's just that the players just don't care. We've heard everything about the Mourinho's tactics week in, week out, but it's the players not performing. Like I said on previous shows that like the squad is lost without Harry Kane, and when he is playing, there's nothing going forward. We're boring to watch. I hate to admit that as a Spurs fan, but all we seem to do is trying to win the game at half time, and then second half just sit back and let the other team have the ball. It's a hard one. It's Europe. Europe for us is totally out of the question this year. Where there is no way we're getting into the top four with so many teams, six teams at least at the minute. Europa League, I don't think so. We have the cup final with Man City, might be a lifeline for us. We'll see how what frame of mind City are in at that stage, and then we'll see how far we go in the Europa League. But apart from that, I can't see. I hate to admit it, but I can't see Harry Kane and Son staying around for another year or another 2 years of Europa League football when they could be playing Champions League football. It's just like they're not meant to play in the Europa League. They're meant to play in the Champions League. Simple as, So just get the money for them and see if we can make someone else. Because we have Harry Kane there for, 8 years now after we gave him a chance after Leicester. Let him go. So I think it's time for him to move on now.
Yeah, it's probably about time you let him go so he could win a trophy or a medal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah, definitly. Yeah.
I noticed you're back in the guard top again tonight, so that doesn't always look good. You know what I mean? That's always a bad sign. But yeah, I mean, I looked at the match there. Go on.
Sorry, the jersey ain't worth wearing. Because it's just laughable. It's laughable.
Always back your team.
I can hear that wave of Spurs fans now coming in on hot on YouTube there, Graham. You're building a cross. You're building a cross for yourself there now. I looked at the match yesterday and I thought West Ham were very comfortable for about 70 minutes. I thought Son was basically missing. I don't think he started playing for 60 minutes. Then for the last 20 minutes, you absolutely tore them asunder. You could have easily come in,
We seem to do that. We seem to do that a lot lately. Like we go chasing the game the last half an hour, like good chances, but we just don't put them away. It's just too late for us.
Yeah, it's a real struggle for Spurs at the moment because especially playing at the back there. I mean, Eric Dyer and your man Sanchez. I mean, like talking about players that are nearly holograms. You know what I mean? Players are just running through them like they don't exist. You know what I mean? It's shocking.
That's what I say. That's what I say each week. But he's chopping and changing the defense every week. Yeah. Like it's not good. It's not good to win the games. You don't know you don't even know your true back four.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing.
you're sort of looking at it now and you're thinking with the rollout of the vaccine program that at least the Spurs players will be able to see Europe during the summer when they go on holidays. I mean, that's the main thing, isn't it, really, when you think about it?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's as much Europe as you're probably going to see, you know. Welcome, Wayne. Good to see you there, man. All the way from the Etihad Stadium. What's happening?
How are you? All right.
Good.
All right.
Good to have you on again. Let's start with Carl from King Rose Court, one of the shows on the network there, bringing you all that good metal content. Talk to me about Chelsea and Southampton. 1-1.
Oh, I know. Look, I'm the kind of fan that says, look, we didn't lose. You know what I mean? But that's the kind of match we should be putting away. And I mean, I was watching the match. I don't like watching matches much these days, you know. But
I know exactly how you feel.
He seems to have settled. Yeah, well, to complete the ship a little bit anyway. But like, you know, we're not like we'd be lucky, I think, if we get into the top 4. You know, and that's just how we feel about it. You know what I mean? But you know, we need to start scoring goals, like, you know. But Southampton, I was very annoyed at that result.
Well, in fairness to Southampton, they have been playing real good football this season, and your man Hassan has them playing really structured and really well. You know, I always fear that guy because, to me, he's the governor out of the Walking Dead, so I fear him a lot. You know what I mean? So it's just the image of him. You know what I mean? And
he's a good manager as well. Actually, it's just he has the right players because he plays good football. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But it's an interesting week coming up for Chelsea, and we'll get on to that a bit later because 2 huge fixtures coming up for them in the next 5 to 6 days, you know. Mark, Newcastle seemed to have an awful lot of the ball there yesterday, but just wouldn't put it in the back of the net. 3-1 to United. Bruno again, lying down like a man who was shot. Not too bad. Gets another penalty to his name. What you thinking?
Yeah, standard game nowadays, isn't it? You know, fair play to Newcastle. I thought they played very well. They deserve something out of the game. If we played decent, we didn't play great. If we play like that next week against Chelsea, we'll be punished more. Obviously, Martial up front, I'll talk about him again. You know, he's the main striker, and he got his first shot on target in the 58th minute. You know, that says it all. I was impressed with Daniel James. I thought he'd done well on Thursday against Sociedad and there yesterday. Obviously, he's had a rough year on and off the pitch, so it's nice to see him bounce back. Shaw done very well again, but I thought Matic was the man of the match for me. I thought he was excellent coming in to replace McTominay, and just shows what class he is, breaking up play and stuff like that. You know, his passing was unreal. But yeah, like I say, Newcastle had the chances. They scored from a corner, but they could have scored from 2 or 3 other corners, you know. Obviously, they're missing Callum Wilson at the moment, who, you know, he get them a lot of goals. But yeah, like I said, and they were unlucky not to have a penalty. Maguire's elbow. I thought that was a stonewall penalty, to be honest with you, you know.
Yeah, especially you know, at a time where some of the fans are talking about teams being depleted by injuries and stuff like that. Not mentioning any teams now, but United were fairly depleted yesterday and still got the job done against Newcastle. So to me, that was very impressive.
Yeah,
and especially when, you know, they didn't have a lot of the ball in the possession, so they seemed fairly solid, you know.
Yeah, like I said, I'll take the 3 points. It would have been nice to keep a clean sheet. Like I said, it was decent performance, but it wasn't a great performance. But listen, it keeps us up there with Leicester, so that's the main thing, you know. And we've a tough game next week then as well.
Yeah. Wayne.
Hello.
When are you going to give us a break and drop a few points and make it a bit interesting? This is getting a bit upsetting now at this stage. Talk to me.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm relishing in it. To be honest, like yesterday's game with Arsenal, I mean, I'm sure if any of you watched it, there was nothing really by anyone in the final third, both teams. Arsenal set with nearly every man behind the ball. Like, so City going forward, it was quite difficult to break them down. But even still, games like that, as you say, that getting through, getting the early goal, made a big difference, won the game again. You know, before that, Spurs, Everton, 3 good wins in a row. Well, 10 good wins in a row now, is it? But it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All the players are playing well. The rotation's working between Laporte coming back. He moved Gundogan over to the left. De Bruyne obviously was back. It was good. It's absolutely brilliant. And I obviously am a City fan, but I'm now even starting to believe like it's going to be depending on how we play against Gladbach in the week. But I mean, it's hard to see us losing, or it's hard to see anyone there really beating us, if you know what I mean, at the minute.
What are you thinking as a fan at the moment? Are you consciously thinking there could be a treble there for you?
No. Like, to be honest with you, it's hard. It's hard to start thinking like that. You know, maybe domestic treble, yeah, maybe domestic treble. I mean, I can't see Spurs beating us. No offense, or anything, but can't see Spurs beating us. They didn't show anything really. Once or twice, maybe in the game the other day or the other week, should I say? But I don't see them beating us in the final of the Carabao Cup. Could see us going far in the FA Cup, and then
you won't
the
get
league.
past Everton.
Come on, we did the other day.
Yeah, we were lulling you into a false sense of security.
Yeah. I know.
For confidence.
But Everton are playing amazing, man, at the minute.
Thank you. You're right.
Yeah, they're playing brilliant, and we still beat them.
I know. As I said, we were lulling you into a false sense of security. Ancelotti's the key.
Come on. You're just on a high from beating Liverpool, man, for the first time in 20.
Well,
that's from the smoke, man. That's from
the smoke. Wayne. The preference last week's show, Con did come on and say he'd gladly lose to City to win on Sunday or Saturday. Like, so, I mean, he was like, his plan has come true.
Like, we want.
I don't know. I think for about 70 minutes, I think they did all right, didn't they?
No. Come on. Of all the games we
were level at halftime. We let you take it away. We didn't play Allen. We didn't play Dominic Calvin-Lewin. We took James off with 50 minutes. We didn't show our hand. Ancelotti will. We have you at home in the FA Cup. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Interesting. But I mean, Wayne, you must be confident in Europe at the moment. I mean, there's a big chance this year you could land the Champions League, yeah?
I mean, look, every year Man City are in the competition. We always say as fans, this is the year. Look, this is the best year. Look at the run we've got. At the end of the day, it's Champions League. You're never going to have an easy run unless you're Liverpool. But but yeah, no, it's again like Gladbach they're off form at the moment. They're off the boil. I think they haven't won in 4 or 5 games. So going into this, it's quite good for us. And yeah, so I'm confident in the next game. But how do you know what's going forward? You know, I mean, will Juventus pick up? Are they out now, Juventus, right?
No, they're still in it.
They have the away goal, don't they?
Oh, the away. Oh, okay. Well, Juventus, you know, they could show up. They'd be a worry for me. I'm not worried about Barcelona as much. Did they get the boot the other day?
Yeah, you could basically say Barcelona are more or less gone unless they pull a corner taken quickly, Origi kind of job or something like that.
Do a Liverpool.
Yeah, I can't see that happening, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like, who else? I don't know who else would worry me. Maybe PSG, maybe Dortmund. But Dortmund seem to be hit and miss. You know?
Well, we should be worrying you because that man Diogo Jota is back this week.
There's nothing worrying in Liverpool at the moment. Everton are a bit bigger worried than Liverpool, if I'm honest with you. Like,
it's more than Jota you need back at this stage.
You know, I don't even think Van Dijk coming back would change your fortunes, to be honest with you.
I'll be getting carried away now on that Ruben Diaz stuff.
Come on. Stats speak for themselves, mate. Stats speak for themselves.
Carl, we have you in surround sound here.
I don't know what was going on there. Sorry.
We can't get enough of Chelsea.
So now, as a City fan, kind of am I thinking of all the trophies? No, because let's be real. Have City ever done it before? Like, we've had the teams to do it before. We've had the, you know, don't get me wrong, but playing Spurs in the semi-final, you would have thought, this is City's chance to get to the final. Spurs done us. So it's hard to picture it, you know. But take each game as it comes, and hopefully, like, I do see us getting through the next round against Gladbach, and then let's see what happens after that.
Well, isn't that the mentality that City are showing at the moment? They are taking it one game at a time.
Well, absolutely. Like last time I was on, I even said to you about Swansea. You know, going back to the last game we had at Swansea, it wasn't easy, and you have to look at it like that. You know, we knew Spurs, to be fair, was a bit of an easy game in the end. We knew Everton wasn't going to be easy. Arsenal didn't turn out to be easy either yesterday, you know. So take each game as it comes.
I'm glad you didn't mention how handy we were, but that's neither here nor there. Con, I saved you till last. The floor is yours.
Best for last.
Give me whatever you have ready. Dean isn't here to back me up, so here, let's have it.
What, like, you know, what you want me to say? What you want me to say? Like, I mean, the oligarchs rule the world. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, the old money will always win the day. You know, you have, like, I think I might have said this to you last week, but I actually think this is going to happen with this recession coming down the line. That Liverpool, you'd be all out I think, well, like, you'd be all out in the next couple of years, you know, to maintain any sort of respectability in the league, because I think the wheels have truly come off. I thought the game on Saturday night, I don't know now, and I obviously have my blue tinted glasses on, so feel free to interject, but like, we ran that game from start to finish. Our back four were unbelievably aggressive. Tom Davies was like a young Pirlo, dictating the play, like, with a cigar on the side of his mouth, just going, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, son. James, like, all the talk about Thiago, like, James is just, he's different class, like, and we took him off with a half an hour to go. We didn't play with Alan. We didn't really play with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and it was a penalty as well. It was a total penalty. You know, not that we needed it. I think if, because we have the old money and with the new stadium, I actually think the 80s are back, boys. I think the 80s are back, and I'm talking about the good part of the 80s before the red shit kicked us out of Europe with their nasty behavior. And you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Like, we would have dominated. Like, it is Liverpool's fault that we didn't dominate because of the ban on Europe, because we had won the league in 86 and 87. Then there was no Champions League or European Cup as it was at that stage, and our side would have gone on to great things. So yeah, the good times are back. Liverpool, I don't know, what could you say about them? Like they've no ambition, you know, no ambition. They let go, like they win the league. They don't go out, they don't buy anyone of class. We're talking about Haaland and Mbappe. They're not going to get, if they don't get Champions League football, Haaland and Mbappe are definitely not going to go there. They're not going to go there anyway, but they're definitely not going to go there if they don't get Champions League football. They let Minamino, now Southampton are a feeder club for you now, like. Like, it used to be Barcelona, now it's Southampton.
Well, now like, we've changed roles. Now we're giving them the players to give back to us. It's not even a feeder club.
Minamino was like Messi on Saturday. He was sensational. Klopp is losing it. What else? Like, I actually think.
How much do you think it's Klopp, and how much do you think it's now the players? Like, where do you how much weight do you hold on each, like, for what's happening?
You have to definitely say that they are very unlucky, extremely unlucky with injuries. But there is more to a football team than injuries. Like you were just saying there a few minutes ago, United are winning with an injury backup. Their squad players are coming on. James came on.
We've had no
played at the weekend. They're not first teamers for United. They're still pulling out results.
We've had no Aguero or De Bruyne for the last.
City the same, yeah. No Aguero, no De Bruyne.
You know, so I'm
two world-class players.
How much responsibility you have to start putting on the Liverpool players now? Because Klopp's gone through some personal stuff, but yeah, you know, the players are. Well, what do you think? What do you think?
And that's fair enough. Yeah, he is going through some.
He's
going through, and that's.
The team doesn't go bad overnight. You know what I mean? And I mean, like, that team over the last couple of seasons was spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the best footballing sides that have been around for a long time.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, maybe they're taking on some of the stuff that Klopp has gone through. Who knows? You know? Yeah. But at the same time, they're the champions and they should be able to grind out results. Like, you know, like, previous champions have done it before. So that's just what I think.
Not to be harsh, though, but like, life is life.
Their defense is so porous as well at the moment. You know, they're honestly, the defense is so porous. Like, and I know you're saying they're missing their central defenders and stuff like that, but it's not like they've put back novices back there. I know Henderson got injured now at the weekend, but prior to that, like, they had Fabinho, who's a world-class footballer. Am I breaking up? Can you hear me there, guys?
Oh, no, you're fine. Go ahead.
Like, they brought back Henderson, they brought back Fabinho. These are world-class footballers who can play in that position. But like, there's more holes in that Liverpool, like Alexander and they've been found out now. If you man mark Robertson and Alexander, it nullifies that Liverpool team so dramatically. because that's where an awful lot of the creativity was coming from, because the space that, because they'd be attacking up the wings, the space that is left in the middle because of the attention that they draw was gaping. But now, like, Coleman man-marked Robertson, and Godfrey man-marked Alexander, and they both did great jobs on them. And the front three were rudderless without it. Like, I think Salah is world class.
Yeah,
I think Mane is really good, and I
Did
think
you not see them
Firmino
both?
is. Yeah.
Both them lads playing for penalties in the last 15 minutes, and it was a bit like, come on, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
Wayne, tell me a team in the Premiership at the moment that isn't playing for penalties. Would you stop?
Not Man City anyway,
everyone's
for our record.
Will you stop? Did you see Raheem Sterling the other day? He couldn't get into the box quick enough to take a dive on that run. Will you stop it with that?
Where did he come from?
Lads take a dive for penalties. A Man City fan taught him it. He learned that. I don't know. Rogers maybe taught him it, did he? We can't really say enough about Seamus Coleman as a pro, can we? Really? I mean, he's outstanding.
Brilliant player.
He's just the type of guy that you'd want in your dressing room. I don't care. Like, Ancelotti reckons he can play till he's 37 or 38. I don't think he can personally, but like, I can see why you would want someone of his character and of his ilk in and around the dressing room. And he was outstanding on Saturday. There's still maybe a year or two left in him, I think. But like Ancelotti was saying, like 37, 38, he was equating him to, Franco Baresi and the Maldinis and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, like, maybe not that good, but like, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
He was Ireland's best player, like, up until he broke his leg. He was easily our standout player, like, up until he had the bad leg break. Definitely our star man. Being called
Ireland's best player isn't always a compliment during these days, but I'm just
it's not like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, but he's an outstanding player. Con, I was really impressed with Gomez. And the job he did. But I would say, and I mean, I know Craig and Dane will come in here as well on this. I don't think our problem's at the back. I think our problem's in midfield. I think we're so porous in midfield and people just run through us now. 100%. That puts that pressure on our back line. I think that back line that was in there, I think Nat Phillips, considering what's going on at Liverpool, he's kind of a standout player at the moment in terms of what he's doing. And for some reason, I don't know, Klopp doesn't seem to want to put him in there. But I really think the problem's in midfield. I think if he just shows the midfielders back in there and let the
I completely agree with you. And my point actually was that he was utilizing world-class midfielders to fill in its central defense. When he had the likes of Matt Phillips, when he had the likes of, like, even Allback now, I know Allback I actually think that Allback fella is going to be, I think he's going to be a great professional.
Kabak.
Allback, is it?
No.
Kabak.
Allback is the goalkeeper. Now, I wouldn't mind signing him either. Kabak is the defender.
The fellow who got the yellow card against us anyway. He just signed him there recently. He's only 20. Kabak.
Yeah.
But he looks like he's a bit young and abrasive, but like, the future is great with him. But like, put him there, put Matt Phillips there, put your good midfielders in midfield, put your Henderson in midfield, put your Fabinho in midfield, play the way you did last year, which was like rotation, just go straight forward. It was like just a conveyor belt. Get the ball up, get it into the front three quickly. But for that reason alone, I think Klopp has to take some of the blame, because there is no plan B with Liverpool. There is no like, okay, we're going to change the system. I've seen it this year a good few times with Liverpool, and I've seen, for example, Ancelotti change the system on several occasions mid-game as well, and also and get results from it. So I think Liverpool, they're too one-dimensional. They're too easy to read, and you're emotional fishes. Like, I mean, like, if anyone I talking to this weekend now, they're nearly crying. Like, they're actually nearly crying. What the fuck? What have I done? What have we done to deserve this? But you've had 3 years of unbelievable, or 2 years of unbelievable success, and now the wheels are falling off and your heads are falling off with it. I said this in a couple of podcasts, like, you've no fucking leaders, you've no backbone, you're laughable. Roy Keane said it himself, you're the worst champion, you're bad champions. And like, when he said that, I was like, and I love Keane obviously from Cork, like, do you know what I mean? But he was so right. Like, you're so, like, if there was a bit of dignity with Klopp, like, but he's blaming the wind on Saturday, like, what the fucking wind, like, come on, like, he's like a junior B hurling manager, like, the fucking wind was very strong. You know what I mean?
Craig, come in and save me here. Come on. I'm taking it all here.
Yeah, I got disconnected, so apologies about that. Now, first and foremost, like, give Con credit where it's due. They were absolutely amazing on Saturday, and they fully deserved the win. They showed up for the derby, and we didn't, and it's simple as that. That goes without saying. So I'll get that out of the way first.
Now let's be happy.
Now, look at no more excuses. Obviously, where we are in the season, but the amount of injuries and not having, I think our biggest mistake
Craig,
is,
stop, Craig.
I haven't finished. I haven't even got down.
You already got Craig. Look, I'm a Liverpool fan, so
but
fucking hell, don't. The whole injuries thing, well, you know, the minute you start even saying that, like, you're going
not
down
making
a road, you don't
excuses
fucking want
about
to
the
go down.
injuries. You have to understand. I'm not
You're going
injury
down a
though.
road,
I'm clearing up the injury thing.
So what does Man
No, but
United
who-
think?
Well,
what I'm trying to say is-
Craig, finish your point there. Go on. Craig,
Yeah, I'm trying to.
go on.
I think what we can learn from this, with the amount of injuries we've occurred, is that you do need a good squad and good depth to come in, which we have no one to rely on. And we didn't foresee getting so many injuries to key players. It's not about injuries anymore, and I don't know why everyone's trying to stop me talking when I'm trying to put a valid point across. I'm not blaming injuries, COVID, no fans, or anything else like it. People who are in the club have to stand up and be accounted for. And there's people on the bench who haven't done that. And there's people who weren't ready to come in and see the badge that I'm wearing right now. That means nothing to most of the people who want to come in and play. It means absolutely nothing to them. And that bothers me the most, to be completely honest with you. I said this on the podcast.
Who can I ask? Who doesn't it? Like, what players are you specifically talking about there, Craig? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm talking about the players who, when we actually do have to change the 11, and when no one else seems to want to fight for that place where Diogo Jota. He's the only one who looks like he can come in.
The biggest concern I had the other day, and I said it as well on the match reaction, is, you know, I've no problem going out and losing to any team. But Jesus, show up and put a bit of fight and a bit of bite in it. Don't be complaining about the game.
We have a left back who...
Like Klopp was complaining about the game being physical. And I was there going, this is a derby. And you're not expected to be physical. What do you want? Like a slow dance on a cuddle? Like, come on, get real here, you know, man. The other thing I would say to Klopp... The other thing I would say as well, Con, what was Klopp thinking squaring up the Duncan Ferguson in the tunnel? Like, does that man not know his history now? I don't know.
Did he do it to Sean Dyche as well a couple of weeks ago? Like, the man has lost his mom, right? So that's fair enough, and we're all capable of doing absolutely fucking stupid things, you know, when we're in grief. So I think he has to definitely be given, and I think he is being given, the benefit of the doubt, and he deserves that for the success that he's brought Liverpool over the last 2 years. I want to, like, I appreciate Craig coming on saying, you know, fair play, we won fair and square. Thank you for that, and I'll reciprocate by saying that
credit.
you
100%.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, and I fully admit that Liverpool have been, you know, unbelievable in the last 2 seasons. But the point that I was making a few minutes ago is one-dimensional. They have plan A and no plan B, no plan C, no plan D. And like, when you're this is a professional game with like lots of money, lots at stake, you know, you should have a couple of, you know, backup plans. Okay, change the system. This isn't working. Okay, Thiago is slowing things down. Even what's his name there, that young fella, Curtis Davis. He's a little bit, I think he's a good footballer, but he's ponderous. He's a little bit ponderous.
Do you know what, as well, I was thinking about
that's my point.
You know,
is
the way
that
you set up with the physical
no plan
midfield.
B, there's no plan C, and he's sorry, go on.
Go ahead, Craig.
You know the way you had real physical midfield. Gomez, Doucouré, big physical lads in the midfield. I was thinking about a player who's probably forgotten by most, Marko Grujic, 6'3", Serbian, 24, out on loan. He could have been the kind of player that, you know, Klopp goes, right, this is going to be, you know, a stocked midfield of lads just going to get stuck into you. You're not going to play football. We didn't match that, and I'll hold my hand up and say that. I admit that. And that's not because of injuries. That's because of the setup. And I'm sick of this. I want centre-backs and centre-back. I don't care if they're from Preston. I don't care if they're from League One. I don't care if they're from non-league. I want me midfielders. Niall is sick of saying it. I want me midfielders back in midfield and actually have a proper screen in front of the back four instead of getting run through because it's embarrassing.
Craig, what's the story
so,
like?
Apologies if anyone thought.
What's the story with Klopp? What's the story with Klopp? How come he's not promoting some of the younger defenders from like the under-23s and stuff like that to get Henderson and Fabinho back into midfield?
On a couple of occasions. We've seen Reece Williams on a couple of occasions, and then it's like he's kind of like, you know...
There's no trust there, Craig.
I trust him, but I don't trust him.
Yeah.
He knows Henderson. He knows Fabinho. He knows what he's getting. But I don't validate that. I think Dean Fitzsimons summed it up perfectly. Short term, you throw... Can't believe I'm saying it. Short term, you throw CDM into centre-back if you have to. But we don't have to. As Con rightfully said, you have centre-backs there. Phillips came on, and Con, I don't know if you agree or not, I thought he was the limelight for us when he came on.
Yeah.
I didn't think he did too bad. Out of a bad bunch, I'll hold my hand up and say, I thought Phillips has done absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah. What's the story? I was just going to say, what's the story with Davis? Like, why isn't he getting... Like, he's come from the Championship, which is probably the most physical league in the whole world, and he should be thrown in there and given a chance. Like.
But that's why you were going to get, Mark, in the derby. You're going to get physicality, and me and Niall were so angry, and obviously Dean as well, that Everton were shown that, obviously, as you do in a derby, and Klopp was giving out about it. We were giving out that Klopp was giving out about it. You know what I mean? The least you want to see is someone getting stuck into a challenge. That's that's the minimum that I expect. And we were absolutely gutless and spineless on Saturday. And that's nothing.
Like, look at when Steve Gerrard was in the middle of the park for Liverpool, every Merseyside derby. Do you remember when he came on and he was like sent off like fucking 30 seconds into the game or 20 seconds into the game? Like,
against
when
United,
he set the stall, Keane was the same at United.
Yeah.
Was that the one against United? It was against United, yeah.
United,
Keane was the same at United. You come in, you fucking leave a mark on someone's legs. You say, no, this is my ground. You're not fucking passing it here today. But like, anyway, do you know what?
We didn't do it that Saturday.
If we had
at all. Like, we didn't do that Saturday at all. We came on, we played a little pussy.
If we had James Milner, who's not Liverpool born or bred, but he knows what it means to Liverpool. He would have clattered, no offence, Con, but you know what I'm getting at. He would have clattered someone's shirt off in the back, and he would have set the tone, as in, this is like what you did with Gomez, as Niall touched on. Gomez was bullying lads in the midfield.
Yeah.
And like, that's what you expect. Dean, do you want to take up on why you thought I was going to go down with the injury?
Sorry. No, I apologise for that, right? But just after the whole post-match reaction thing there, right, and we were going to talk about the injuries. The amount of times we came on this podcast and made excuses for injuries and being like, well, Van Dijk, Henderson...
Well, I'll tell you where it was going, and then I'll tell you where it was going with the injuries real quick, and then I'll let someone else... Sorry if I cut you off.
No.
I just think, who else bar, probably Wayne, obviously, who else bar Wayne could, handle as many injuries at once like we've had? No excuse. We should be able to deal with it.
The truth is no one would, because I mean even Paul Merson came out the other day and said
that's what I wanted.
Any other top team with that amount of injuries would be down in 12th or 14th, and there's no doubt about that.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
again, the 11 that go on the pitch should be good enough and strong enough to do the job against the West Broms and the Fulhams and the Newcastles and the Brightons and the Burnleys of this world. So there's no excuse really. You know what I mean? It's an excuse, but not the excuse, if you like. But listen, let's move on quick and have a quick look at European football.
I was enjoying that Craig and Dana like a married couple there.
I just wanted the fun. I completely get where Dean thought it was coming from, but it wasn't the case.
The two of them after.
I apologise for that, Craig. I apologise.
It's all good. It's all good.
The two of them after this show will be on our OnlyFans page. No problem.
And Niall, just before we move on, while we're still talking on the subject, I know it was your birthday the other day. Happy birthday! But I got you a present, which I'm going to send you down. Jeez. I got you some toffees. I had to get that in.
Hang on now, and I just delete him off the show. Con is about to message you his address. But anyway, quick look at Europe so we can get on to some of these hot topics at the moment. Chelsea car with a big game against Atletico. Should be interesting. That'll be a fiery affair. That'll be a tough one and a real challenge for Tuchel.
Yeah, it's always a challenge against them,
Yeah,
and we always have good matches against them. I was worried about going into the game. At this stage now, I think they could get the result. I think so.
Take
It's
the
quite
result back,
possible
yeah.
at this stage, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially with them, especially with them not playing in Madrid, like, you know.
Yeah. I think Bayern and Real Madrid will probably get the job done, although Atalanta have been tough this year. City, Wayne, I think they'll breeze by Mönchengladbach, to be honest. I know you're obviously concerned, but like, I mean, I don't think so. I think they'll play too much.
Oh, like I said, honestly, I'm not when I say I'm concerned, I mean they're a European side. Of course, you should always, never go into a European game lightly. They're off form at the moment. Like, if you look in the league, I think they've lost the last 4, or not lost. Sorry, they've not won in 4 games or something. So coming up against us, it's not looking good for them, if you know what I mean. But I'm fairly confident going through, to be honest. Fairly confident.
Good stuff. Looking at the Europa League, Mark, just put out the kids against Sociedad. I think the job is done.
Yeah. Just it gives us that bit of kind of luxury of resting a few players before Chelsea on Sunday. I hope he plays the likes of Diallo. He'll probably play Brandon Williams, Tellez, maybe Boyi and Tanzabe will come in as well. So just so we'd be fresh then on Sunday, you know.
Yeah, I think I'd be shocked, in fairness, if the 4 Premiership teams there didn't go through in the Europa. I know the Leicester one is a little bit tight and Arsenal's a bit tight, but I'd still expect them to get the job done, you know. So
can I just say one thing there, guys, about the Europa League?
Yep.
Like, and you were all writing Spurs off there earlier on, and I've certainly been critical of Spurs. I think they're Spurs, but like that is a competition that Mourinho has proven in the past is a gateway into the Champions League. And you know what? I think Spurs are probably, they're flattering to deceive in the Premier League, all right, at the moment. But I think Mourinho is a great cup man, and I wouldn't rule them out for a real good run in that and potentially even win it. And then Mourinho has done it again, But that is, I would say that about them. I thought Bale was, I don't know if you watched that game yesterday. He brought Bale on in the second half, and I thought he was different class. He hit the crossbar. He set up a couple of chances for Harry Kane. They were unlucky, actually, not to draw that game. Like the Lingard goal right at the start of the second half was like, it was a real killer blow for Spurs because they dominated that second half. And I know they're fucking, they're like, they were top of Christmas and they're kind of capitulating now, but I don't know. I have a weird feeling about them. And it's like Liverpool in the Champions League as well. Everything is going to shit for Liverpool. But like, if you win the fucking Champions League, I swear to God Almighty, I'll go back on the drink in a bad way. Like, do you know what I mean?
I'll make a video when I lead all those toffees.
I'd be likely to do it.
Yeah, I think Bale. The problem at the moment for Spurs is they could go out on Thursday or Wednesday. I think their match is, and
Wednesday.
Yeah. He'll probably drop Gareth Bale. You don't know what Jose is going to do at the moment.
Yeah.
He's just there's just madness within at the moment. There's no settling. Constantly getting different back fours. Hounding Bale out to the press and then playing him, and of course Bale coming on and reacting. So you just
he was excellent. He was absolutely excellent.
Brilliant for that 20 minutes, without a doubt.
Graham, just from an Irish point of view, what's the story with Matt Doherty this season? Like, obviously last season he did a fantastic season with Wolves. He's come in, I know. Probably the style of play doesn't suit his game, but how do you feel about him this season?
Like I said, it's he's Mourinho. He's chopping and changing every week. He may put Doherty in the team. He might have a bad game. Then he put Aurier in the team. He might have 2 good games, and then it's Aurier is picked every week. But it's chopping and changing every week. I don't. He's great signing from Wolves, I thought. Yeah. But it's Mourinho's final say on who he picks.
You won't have to worry about him much longer, because apparently news broke today that apparently he's for sale in the summer.
Is he?
So, yeah,
already?
That was the talk today, yeah. So
double our money
back.
back.
Can I throw a quick question actually to Graham as well while we're on the Spurs topic, if it's all right?
Yeah,
do you think that Jose, like Mark touched on with Doherty, do you think Jose restricts certain players from doing, like, Doherty's so good going forward? Do you think that he restricts the likes of Doherty from doing that and focuses more on the Kane and Bale situation, the Kane and Son situation, sorry? Because he's have a very good side, like, the Premier League. I look at this and I envy it at times, you know what I mean? Really good side. Like.
Yeah, I look at that, like, Mourinho probably only has about 12 or 13 players in his mind that he thinks that can perform. But the likes of Bale and Mora and, like, Doherty not getting picked, and like they're sitting on the bench going, why are you not starting me? Like, I'm good enough. Like, if you didn't think I'm good enough, you shouldn't have bought me. So simple as.
Graham, let's be honest here.
Fair
I'd say he
enough.
only has 5 players in his mind who he thinks can perform. He can't stand the
Yeah.
rest of them. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's no way he has 11 players in his mind. Because if he had 11 players in his mind, he'd be playing that same 11 players every week. But he clearly
Probably
doesn't.
would, yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
That's a great point, yeah.
Anyway,
Right.
let's get on to these hot topics, lads, because we're pushing along here for time, so we want to get it all in. Great news, obviously, coming out this week that there's hope for fans going back into the stadiums, and they released today the 15th of May that they're targeting and hoping to have at least 10,000 fans in each stadium, which I think is brilliant news because it means hopefully Liverpool will be back. Because it's all about the fans. It's not about the injuries. But yeah, that has to be great news, for especially for the smaller clubs like Spurs and Chelsea, it's really important that fans come back,
a bit late for fans coming back.
Yeah,
make a difference.
Yeah, the Fairly Liquid FC, yeah. What was I want to get people's thinking today. Wilfred Zaha came out and decided, again, it's kind of a follow-on from last week, not to take the knee, and he's sort of posting that he wants to start this campaign of standing tall, that he believes taking the knee is degrading and he wants something that has a more tangible change. Con, what you're thinking on that? You had strong views last week on this in relation to Brentford. What was your thinking with Wilfred Zaha now that he's put there's a bit more thinking behind it? It's not just not taking the knee. Let me know your thoughts.
I would say that's Wilfred Zaha's opinion, and that his opinion is extremely valid because he's a football player. And he should certainly be listened to in the dressing room. But I would also say that his opinion is not everybody's opinion, and everybody's opinion on this particular matter probably should be taken into consideration. It's a very delicate matter, and as I said last week, to take the knee. No, look. Wilfred Zaha is a black man. He's suffered racial abuse. He's in a position to answer this question, obviously, way better than I am. But I think it's so delicate that one person's opinion is not enough. It needs to be a collective opinion from potentially the black footballing community as a whole. So, yeah, like who's to say that what Wilfred Zaha believes that that Corey at Everton has a complete different opinion of, so that it's a delicate one, and I think that ultimately it needs to be decided by a collective, not by an individual. And do you know what? The thing with Zaha as well, he's like, Everton tried to buy him a couple of seasons ago, like he courts controversy as well. Like, I'm glad we didn't sign him. He can be quite unmanageable. He was difficult at United. He's a bit of like he kind of likes to rattle the wasp's nest. But he's entitled to his opinion, as we all are. But I think on that one, I think a collective response is the way to go there, not an individualistic response. That would be my take on it anyway.
I'd say Ancelotti would have no problem managing Wilfred Zaha, no doubt about that. Mark, what was your thinking on it?
Yeah, don't agree with Con. But I think each club should meet up with the Black Lives Matter movement and agree on some sort of thing. If they're all going to stand, they all stand. If they're all going to do the knee, they all do the knee. It obviously looks better. Solidarity, everyone on the same page, everyone doing the same thing, So I think it's a matter of everyone from each club meeting up with Black Lives Matter and sorting it out. Like Colin was saying, Zaha has his opinion and he's totally entitled to that. That's fantastic. But he's been through, like, walking mile in his shoes. He's been through the whole lot. But like I said, I'd rather see everyone do the same thing rather than individuals doing different things before the match,
Yeah. Carl.
Oh, you just wait. Sorry.
Go ahead, Dan.
Just on that, I respect everyone's opinion on the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and everyone has their own, like, whatever their thought process is. In my opinion, at the start, it was done obviously because of what happened in the States and what happened over there due to racial injustice. When you look at it now, at the start, it was bringing light to it. Now, what's the point in it if nothing is going to change? these lads are taking the knee, and I understand everyone has an opinion on it, but it's not really changing anything. More needs to be done in the footballing community to change it. Instead of these lads going out and taking the knee, and you understand it's only 5-6 seconds, whatever. But that's not going to change racism in football or anything. So more and more needs to be done, and I think, as Mark said, these clubs need to meet up with the Black Lives community and do more about it.
Well, I think the thing about these things is a lot of these things do take time, and like we know from history, and anything in history, you know, big change like that takes time, and it has to be given the time. You know, so it is a delicate subject, but we'll see how it proceeds. Carl, talk to me. Twitter this week. A lot of social media this week, guys, came under fire in relation to their ID policy and the anonymous way that people can just fire content out there with all this racial abuse that's going on and stuff like that. But Twitter were the first, I think, to respond this week. I think they're the only ones that have responded so far. And they said that they wouldn't be instigating a policy for IDing their users because they felt that the anonymous way in which they operate allows people to come out and highlight other issues and protects them from an onslaught of abuse themselves. And I'm thinking like things like the Me Too movement and you know all the stuff that happened with Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein and all these people. A lot of that stuff was broken originally by people anonymously on Twitter that may not have spoken out if their ID was there to be viewed and seen. So I can kind of see their point to it, but I can also see the other point to it as well, where they do have to take some responsibility in relation to the abuse that's coming out at the moment. And it's how they figure that out. But what was your thinking on it, Carl?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the whole Me Too movement, if it wasn't for anonymity, it probably wouldn't have gotten as much traction as it did. So I think Twitter is something that I'm still trying, as you know, I'm trying to get to grips with it. But I do think for stuff like that, they do need to keep some privacy at least. Everyone's kind of rights are getting taken away, stripped away slowly but surely, without getting too into kind of that kind of stuff. But definitely think everyone needs a degree of, I suppose, privacy.
Wayne, what's your thinking on this?
We're going back to the taking the knee thing. Personally, I think everyone should know what it's actually all about. It comes from Colin Kaepernick, making an injustice against the national anthem being played at the start of games. So rather than standing up, he decided to take the knee as a point against racial injustice in America. It's now been used by the Black Lives Matter movement and obviously in the professional sport before games as a symbol of unity and to raise awareness. But like as the Dean said, that it's a bit what's actually happening. For me personally, I kind of sympathise with Wilfred Zaha because I think at the end of the day, the FA are so complicit, and not just the FA, football and bodies around the world, FIFA. Racism is vile in football and how it's accepted. And loads of us say as fans, we don't accept it, players, we don't accept it. Why should professional footballers stay on a football pitch when they're being racially abused by fans? Why isn't the game called off? Why isn't there bans, instant bans? Why, we are so lackadaisical. And every other aspect of society, it would not be accepted. It wouldn't be accepted in any other workplace. It would be accepted if you seen it in a restaurant, if you saw racism like that, if you saw someone shouting it. So why is it accepted in football? You got to think as well, discrimination and stuff like that in football it goes beyond racism. What about how many gay footballers are there? Name one gay footballer. I bet you there's loads, but none of them are able to come out because of the stigma involved around football as well. How many black managers have been successful in the Premier League at the top level?
We touched on a lot of that last week. We were talking about the FA's new plan, and Mark touched on it in fairness on last week's episode where he said, why is it taking so long for the FA to put things in place to get their house in order and stuff like that? And again, it's one of these things, like everything, it evolves over time. You know what I mean? Like if you don't accept that there's a problem, you're never going to action a plan against it. And it's only when you accept that you move on and you start working towards a better environment, if you like,
Like I am happy to see they are doing things. And yes, you have to do it maybe step by step, baby step. But at the same time, I think it's so blatantly obvious, and I hear it with, like, on the radio, pundits, and I think everyone's just afraid to say it like that. Football, as an organisation across the world, has a problem with racism, and they need to address it. It's as simple as that, and nobody just will say that out and out. There is a massive problem with discrimination. You know, I think, look at the women's game, how much it's moved forward in the last couple of years with the Women's World Cup and everything, the global views of it, how many more people are getting involved. So that if they show they can make moves and do stuff, you know, as a community or whatever you want to call it around the world, football can do things, you know. And I just think it's stupid to call it anything else. There's a problem with racism in the game, man. We have to fix it as fans, as everyone who loves the game. It's as simple as that.
Well said, Wayne. So yeah, I mean, we'll park it there for the moment, and let's see what comes out of the plans, and let's see how all this other stuff evolves in terms of taking the knee or standing tall, or how it's going to evolve, you know. Ray Parlour this week, lads. I thought I was hearing things because I would have respected Ray Parlour a lot as a player at Arsenal and stuff like that. Came out this week and said that Aubameyang would replace Dennis Bergkamp in the Invincibles team. And I literally,
Jesus.
No.
I was trying to, you know, I was nearly going to tweet him and say, "Show me the Jaeger bottle there, and you know what's the story there? How many drinks have you had to come out with that kind of nonsense?" Like I love when players and when they go in as punditry and they try to do clickbait and stuff like that. As Con said earlier, we love the stuff Roy Keane comes out with because it's a breath of fresh air. Like, you know what I mean, in terms of punditry. But that's absolute nonsense. Dennis Bergkamp was an absolute wizard in a team full of superstars.
Yeah.
Aubameyang is a wizard in a team full of pretenders. And Arsenal fans, come at me if you want, but let's get real here. That Arsenal team that's out there now, apart from Aubameyang, is a shadow of the Arsenal team of the great times. And I lived through all those teams, and I watched all those teams play football. And I actually,
you know that Dennis.
Go ahead,
Dennis Bergkamp was the most substituted player in the Arsene Wenger era. Arsene Wenger substituted him more in his career with Arsenal more than any other player. I think Bergkamp was a great player, but I do think that people forget how unprolific he was. He was like a scorer of great goals. He was a great assist player. He was a fantastic footballer. Now, I'm not actually saying that he wasn't a great footballer. He was world class, and he was particularly good in was it 94, the 94 World Cup. He was absolutely awesome in that World Cup. But I agree with Parlour. I actually think that Aubameyang, Arsenal didn't see the best years of Aubameyang either. He went to them when he was like 30 or 31. He's a prolific goal scorer. And if he had gone maybe at an earlier age, I think he would have been a Premier League great. But even this year, he's had poor form and he's had injury problems and stuff like that. But he still has decent numbers. That'll be my take on it anyway. And I'm going to actually, sorry lads, I'm actually going to have to go. My kids are screaming here and my wife is knocking on the door. So
appreciate it as always.
Thanks
for coming on.
Cheers, Con.
Lads. Chucky Arla, lads. Go on.
Hey.
Mark.
Yes.
Talk to me. I mean, you would have seen Dennis Bergkamp enough.
Yeah, no, like two players, non-United players that I love watching back in the day. One was Zola, Gianfranco Zola, and the other one was Dennis Bergkamp, you know. But I think it's hard to compare, you know, a player now and saying he'd fit in that team. It's all different systems, all different. There's a different pace to the game now and stuff like that, you know. But Bergkamp to me was world class, you know. That's like you were saying, Niall. How many points did Ray Parlour had when he came out with that statement, like, you know?
So if you're sitting with the Glazers sorting out this year's transfers, and they offer you Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang or Dennis Bergkamp, both in their prime, who are you signing for Man United?
At this stage, I'd take Bergkamp and I'd play him centre half instead of Harry Maguire. That's it.
Jesus, there's a call, huh?
But,
go ahead, Carl.
No, go ahead.
No, Mark, go ahead there.
No, I was just going to say, like, Aubameyang, he's won the FA Cup with Arsenal, but I think, you know, he has to be there another few seasons and win a few more trophies before he can be known as an Arsenal legend, you know.
Yeah, the word Arsenal and legend these days doesn't get thrown around too much. You know what I mean? They do be legendary for other reasons. You know. Don't get me wrong, I love Arsenal as a football club. So Arsenal fans, come at me if you want, but this is the way it is. You know, Carl, you'd be old enough like myself to remember Dennis Bergkamp and some of the amazing things he did.
It's a sublime player to watch, no matter who you support, like, you know. And like you say, that team of Invincibles, they all worked as a total cohesive unit. Whereas, like you say, that I don't think Aubameyang would have been like, yeah, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he would have, you know, connected with that team and he gotten as much out of his skills as Bergkamp did. You know, just Bergkamp. I think Bergkamp could have just fit into any team in anywhere in the world and just played as good as he did. Like, you know. One of the and like that. Sorry, he'd be one of the players outside of Chelsea I would have loved to watch as well.
Yeah, I think he's one of those players. He was so skillful, but yet he wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid to get stuck in. I mean, how many 50-50s did he get stuck into where he absolutely broke up lads as well? You know,
yeah.
For a lad who's so skillful and majestic, he was just unbelievable. Finally, here's a question for the panel, Graham. I'm going to start with you. All the talk after last week in Europe was Haaland or Mbappe. And do you think either could come to the Premiership this summer? Graham, what you thinking?
I agree that they'll come to the Premier League because it's not like 15 years ago, the place to be was Barcelona and Real Madrid. But I don't think any players these days wants to go to either Barcelona or Real Madrid, and they're looking at the Premier League is the place to be, the best league in the world. That's where I need to be. So, yeah, definitely.
It's kind of always been the best league in the world, really, even during those times. You know what I mean? But Dane, Haaland or Mbappe? Are they coming to the Premiership?
Mbappe, you'd hope, wouldn't you? It'd probably be City now. City's the only one that could really afford him, but like Mbappe is miles ahead of Haaland, in my opinion. Anyway, probably that won't be disagree with it, but I think he's phenomenal, honestly.
City will be too busy signing Messi. Don't worry about that.
Messi and Haaland.
Well, if that's the case, the rest of us may just drop down to the Championship. We no point in even playing then, you know. Mark, Haaland or Mbappe?
I think just as a football fan, you know, I think you'll all agree that you want to see the best players in the world play in the Premier League. I personally would take Haaland. I think Mbappe is kind of a little similar to Rashford when Rashford's on his pomp. Like, so
did you really just compare Rashford to Mbappe?
When I'm saying when he's the top of his game, when Rashford's at the top of the game, they've similar styles. So for that reason, I take Haaland because we're relying on Cavani, who's an out-and-out goal scorer. So I definitely take Haaland.
Well, you've seen it with Rashford yesterday. I mean, that goal Rashford scored yesterday was absolutely world class.
Look, I said, top quality player. On his day, I know he's been kind of hit and miss this season, but on his day, he's unreal. Like, he's unplayable.
Yeah. Probably have to move on if he wants to win something, but that's neither here nor there. Craig, Haaland or Mbappe?
Looking at ourselves currently at the moment, I would take Haaland because I think he offers something different and something we don't have. A big kind of target man, a big presence in the box. If we're swinging balls in like we have been in for the sake of it, why not have someone like him in there who can actually take it down, knock it down for other people, but also get involved in the bigger play as well, which he's more than capable of doing. Don't get me wrong, obviously Mbappe is a dream signing for anyone, even for the City. Like, no doubt about that. But what I think we're lacking is that kind of, like, you know, the Antonio build, the Giroud build, where we can mix it up if needs be. Go from a 4-3-3 when it's not working. And we have, like, Haaland's a natural finisher, and he's natural finisher, poacher, electric outside the box and inside the box. And I think with the Premier League and the way the defences kind of work, he would be great for occupying certain centre-backs that would maybe even free the other lads coming in from both sides as well. So I think it would work full circle for us in their current situation.
He's also probably available at a third of the price of Mbappe. So.
Do you think any team could afford Haaland or Mbappe this season? Going into the way the pandemic is
not now. Barman.
Excuse me, we can afford it.
We're actually talking about putting a bid together for Haaland as well. So
Chelsea could afford them. To be fair, I reckon Chelsea have the money there.
City
Arsenal,
and Chelsea
if they wanted
would
to
probably
spend
Yeah,
it, but
probably the only
Arsenal
two
are
teams.
Arsenal.
Yeah, I think Mbappe is a luxury player. You know, like City probably could only be the ones to actually buy him.
Yeah.
Mbappe, you know.
Does everyone remember Alfinga Haaland was a Man City player? You know, Haaland was a City fan from young because his dad played for us. You know, so I could see.
Ryan, do you think that he could be the Aguero replacement down the line? And
I would dream like you, Dino. I would take Haaland over Mbappe. I think for City as well, we need a striker. Obviously, at the moment, we need someone to replace Aguero for almost the exact same reasons. Target man, big fella in the box. We have Sterling, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden. We've all these other players.
It works to so many other areas, you know. It works to around.
Absolutely, and I think Haaland would be that missing piece. You know, imagine De Bruyne, Haaland, Sterling off one side, Mahrez off the other. You'd go begin and it's unbelievable.
All we need now is Scott McTominay to go in Stud Shown, and then we'd have another best-selling book, wouldn't we? Love you, Roy Keane. Love you, Roy Keane.
That was some tackle.
I tell you. The tackle that sold $1 million, huh?
Yeah.
Well, lads, as always, it's been brilliant.
Niall, just before you go, I feel sorry for the Liverpool fans here, so I want to leave you with a happy thought, right? Just think of it now, lads. You're on the magic 40 points, so you're safe from relegation. Take that.
Hey!
There's still 39 points to play for, so
Don't do that to me.
The other thing I would stress is that unless you win the league, second, third, and fourth is pretty much the same thing. I'm going with that this season. But until next time, lads, just a bit of admin there. Again, Ella's Toys and Collectibles on Facebook. Drop over there, grab your 10% off all your Funko Pops and toys. Hogan Elite Trophy here for all your silverware needs for that special occasion. Head over to King Woe's Court on the network for all your metal music and reviews. Carl's over there rocking it with that show. And also, Conversations with Cornelius, dropping some great content there on Spotify. Head over to YouTube, subscribe, share, and like the Upper Tier Podcast on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Till next time, over and out.